So that leads to kind of another big argument that I have against these preachers, or I guess people that would believe these preachers just blindly. And that is the fact that when I look at these people, in my spirit, something isn't right. I can look into their eyes, I can look at pictures of them, I can see them talk, or rather, I can hear them talk, I can see them on video, and the way they move, the way that they talk, the way something isn't right. And I've come across a couple of verses that are very interesting, and I don't have them all written down. I have one written down, and it just it has huge implications. And when you read it and you understand what it's saying, a lot of what Jesus says makes a lot of sense. And we'll go to that now. So we are going to read in first, I say first Galatians. We're going to read Galatians chapter 1, verse 8. I just got to turn to it here. Galatians is a very small book, so got to be careful to not pass it here. First Corinthians, and I may have already passed it. Let's make sure it's right here. Galatians chapter 1 and verse 8 through 11. Actually, we'll start in verse 6. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, which is not another, but there are some that trouble you, and would pervert the gospel of Christ. But though we, or an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men, or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I yet pleased men, I should not be the servant of Christ. But I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ. Now, there's a lot here to unpack. First and foremost, Paul is writing to the Galatians, and one of the things he says is, I marvel that it really didn't take much time for the true faith to be twisted. Then he goes on to say that if any man or angel preach any other gospel than the one that we gave you, let him be accursed, which implies that angels can deceive mankind. All of those verses that say, let no man deceive you, they start to make a lot of sense. I'm just saying. And let's be real here. Not trusting mankind in the first place is a good enough reason. And I think that's really just one reason entirely, because men are evil. So trust no man because they are evil. People lie. But also trust no man because angels can look like men. We are told this multiple times. We're told that, I believe it's even in John, where he literally says the angel took the form of a man. Jude says that there are men who crept in unawares that have basically perverted and changed the gospel. We're told in Genesis chapter 6 that angels came down from heaven and had sex with women, which would imply they had to take form of something that could procreate with women. And I think that the design for that action is and has been already created. It's called men. So it would make sense that they would take the form of men. Now, when angels appear to people, a lot of times they appear to people as they just look, like normally, I guess you could say. And every single time they do that, they have to say, hey, look, chill out. Don't be afraid. I'm bringing you a message from God. Here's what he says. And they do this time and time again. But we're also told about many other times, specifically the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where two or three guys, I think it's two guys, came to Lot in Sodom, and they were angels. And he knew they were angels, but they looked like men. So it is not that far of a stretch to believe that fallen angels, fallen powers, can come down to earth in the form of men and deceive thousands, if not millions, of people. So again, when I look at a lot of these prosperity preachers, something isn't right. They don't look normal to me. And Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen are two that something ain't right. It's as simple as that. Something is not right. And when you understand that fallen powers, fallen angels, they love to be worshipped like Satan, a lot of the Hollywood stuff will start to make sense. What are they called? They're called stars. Well, what are stars in a biblical sense? Stars in a biblical sense are the physical representation of an angel. And we are told that angels push the stars, that they move them. And when an angel steps out of line, their star essentially falls to earth. Their place in heaven is no longer there. And that is what a shooting star is. And there's this whole thing where you wish upon a star, you wish upon an angel. It's like praying to an angel, which obviously we don't do. It's just things will click. When you start to understand what is being said, things start to click. And that is a problem with the modern apostate church, or rather, this is a problem with the modern apostate church. They read the Bible, and basically it comes down to, oh, yeah, I believe in Jesus. Okay, Jesus died, and he came back to life. Think about that. He was dead for 3 days, so it wasn't like, oh, he was in a coma. He died for 3 days and came back to life. Pretty much every single scientist out there will tell you that is impossible. There was also a flood. There's also talking donkeys. I mean, there are insane stories in the Bible, but then for some reason, when it comes to, hey, maybe the guy you're listening to is a false prophet, is an antichrist, is a fallen angel. Oh, no, 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 he's not, because look, he's rich and he has all this money and he does all of these things for God. And of course, they know nothing of the verses that talk about rich men. They know nothing of the verses that say that in that day, the day of judgment, there will be many who say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not do these great works in your name? Did we not cast out demons? Did we not do great miracles? And he will look at them and say, I never knew you. It's a personal relationship with Jesus. It is understanding what he told us to do. How many Christians are out there today who believe that, oh, well, I believe in Jesus. Once saved, always saved. I can do whatever I want. There's a lot of preachers out there who are so twisted, they will literally say that an atheist can go to heaven as long as he believed in Jesus at some point. Amazing. And of course, the same preachers will say, the Old Testament doesn't matter anymore, but hey, remember to tithe, which is also Old Testament, but we won't get into that. I mean, it's insanity. Absolute insanity. Let's continue on. We're going to run through a lot of these. Matthew chapter 22. This is the last verse of Matthew that we're going to get into. Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 through 40, if I can find it. And we'll paraphrase here because it's fairly simple. Basically, they're asking Jesus, what is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus replies to love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. And that the entirety of the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. If you love God with all of your heart and all of your mind and all of your soul, you will do the things that he said to do. And if you love your neighbor, you will do things for them. And it's not just like, oh, my neighbor across the street. You know, I have 3 neighbors, the one that's across the street, the one that lives to the left of me, the one that lives to the right of me, the one that lives behind me, which I guess is 4. That's not what he's talking about. He is talking about people in general. In general. Love them as you love yourself. So when somebody does a crazy thing and you're heartbroken and you're hurt, you need to forgive them, for one. But you also still need to love them. Love them enough to, basically think of it like this. Imagine if somebody you love was murdered by somebody else. Could you, for one, forgive that person, that evil person? Let's say you can. Okay, let's take it a step further. Let's say they're an atheist. Can you then witness to that person about Jesus Christ and what it means to be a Christian? Could you do that? I think a lot of people would say no. I think a lot of people at that point would say, I can't do that. But that's really what it means. To love people as you love yourself. Because let's be honest here, we all screw up and we do a lot of things that are really, really bad. And when we do something really bad, a lot of us are just, I really wish this guy would cut me a break. I really wish this guy would just say, I'll give you a warning. And we do that over and over and over again. And yet, when something really bad happens to you that was not part of your control, all of a sudden you lash out with wrath, with malice, with hate, with anger, and all you want to do is grab this person and strangle them. And it's very possible that that person is just saying, I messed up. Forgive me. Cut me some slack. And it's very hard for us to do that.